Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting at 6:01, and we'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. It stands. Adjustments to the agenda. We have a letter from Parker regarding requesting a speed study on 131. Well, actually, the letter requests us to lower the speed limit, which we don't have the authority to do, but we can email them back and say we could, if we chose to, request a DOT conduct a study, and then they can lower the speed. So I'd like to add that to the agenda. We have a donation from Rock City
Employee cooperative.
$200 for the library. And we have an email from Ray Martin asking to have us consider a food sovereignty ordinance. I personally am a little reluctant to add that one to the agenda as an adjustment. I think that's pretty good. But I think we can add it maybe just to hear what you got asking for, and you can then take it from there. You got so
Yeah,
anything to add? Adjustments to the agenda?
no, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Sorry, I'll speak up. Okay. Is that better?
Not much.
Let's see if we can do something. Can other folks hear me?
No, the volume's pretty poor.
I agree, it's not good.
Right now, I changed microphones.
Is that any better?
That's better.
Yes,
Okay, great. I'll try to speak up, or we'll try to speak up, and we'll ask the folks in the audience to as well. Okay, public comment for items not on the agenda. Seeing none. Review and approval of prior meeting minutes, March 21st, April 10th through the 13th. Those are budget committee meetings primarily. Is there a motion?
I would move we accept the minutes, March 21st, April 10th, April 11th. 12th.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Sue?
Hi, Sue.
Jeff, aye.
John, I. I am gonna jump around a little bit here, just to sort of accommodate folks, and also to make things flow a little better in order. But I am gonna start with A, consider appointment to the South Constant Community Resilience Committee. If I counted right, we got 11 applicants, or 11 people expressing interest. Is that what you?
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes, sorry.
I can't recall whether we established the size of this committee or not.
11.
We did?
I
We
think,
did?
I think it was 11, yeah.
That's good. So, hearing that, is there a motion to appoint Krista Tripp, Kathleen Florence, Penny Alley, Nancy Goslin, Lincoln Oliver, Neil, Sally Merchant, Carla White, Dean Cambridge, Denise, ooh, I'm not even gonna try. Theo Pratt and Ray Martin.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay. As I understand, this is an ad hoc committee, so there's no terms. We're not trying to stagger them or anything like that. It may become a permanent committee at some point, but that's not the intent tonight, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. All right, so there'll be no terms, it'll just be until we deal with the committee structure again at some point, if we deal with it again at some point. Okay, further discussion? All those in favor? Sue?
Sue, aye.
Jeff, I.
John, I. Okay, consider appointments to the Library and Community Center Facility Committee. This committee, as I understand it from Terry, was created to have 7 voting members. We have currently 6, and 2 people have expressed interest, both of whom, Jan Gaudio has expressed interest, and Kate Clark. Kate, but you're here, okay? So I have talked to Sandy about both of these. She's very interested in both of them, and she did say that the committee does seem to be dividing into 2 parts, one focusing on financial and fundraising and one on building. So she would be very pleased if the board would expand the size of this ad hoc committee and appoint both folks. Kate is with us here tonight. I think we all know Jan. I spoke to him. He's definitely very interested, and what I both understand the mission of the committee. So, and the other thought would be we could expand it to 9 members and try to have through one other person if we feel the need for an odd number, but I'm not sure that I do, but that can get awkward sometimes.
Yeah, I think our original thought was for 9. They have fun.
And the chair.
Right, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, any thoughts on this? On the size?
Is it better to have an odd number in case they need to vote?
It can, that can happen, you know, but, I mean, I think I would prefer 9, but I'm not hard over on that.
But we don't have 9 people right now either, so.
But we don't have a full planning board either, right? Or an appeals board, or a budget committee, or a.
You personally, I prefer them.
Well, it's extended to 9.
Yeah. I mean, we
We can have a vacant, we
can
got plenty of them.
It's all over. Okay, so I would make a motion that we expand the committee to 9 and to appoint both applicants.
Jan Gaudio. Second,
I will second that.
I'd like to give Kate an opportunity to introduce herself since I invited her to come tonight. And she took the time to do it, so without objection, if you'd just like to give us a quick little.
Hi, I'm the Kate Clark. I live on Browns Road, with John. I've lived in Southampton now for 3 years. I am superintendent of schools at Hope, Appleton, and Lincolnville. For a couple more years anyway. And I'm excited about this. I went over to Sandy's. We had a nice conversation about the committee, and I think I have a little bit of knowledge about school buildings, especially old ones. Having been in business for 40 years.
Further discussion? All those in favor, Sue?
Sue, aye.
Jeff, I.
John, aye. And thank you for coming and volunteering, and I'll thank Jan as well. We can let them know. We do actually have an appointment form that sometime if you could just stop, Terry will fill it out, and if you could just stop by the office at some point, just so we can keep track of who's on it. So, thank you. I'd like to take out of order consideration of a liquor permit for an event at Saltwater Fields. This It's Mauer and Partners Corporation doing business as Stone Cove Catering. We have that right?
It's on the rocks, bartending service.
That's not what the application
That's,
says.
yeah, that's not what the application says.
Huh? I thought the application- I just thought it's
Oh.
a mistake.
Jeff, I don't have one. I have the originals in that to be signed packet.
Our Partners Corporation doing business at Stone Cove Catering. Someone who. Name and call.
Signed by Sarah Mauer. I don't know. This came
That's-
from you, not us.
Oh, yeah, that's our license for the, yeah, okay, now I get you.
Well, do you want
This is.
to, reapply at another date, or would you like to deal with it tonight and we can have you come in and resubmit a new paper, we can.
This is not, there must be someone else doing this for Saltwater Fields, it's not us.
That's all I've got.
So it sounds like we need an application from you if you will have another event. Sorry for the mix up.
No, we don't have another event, we were gonna discuss in the future of us, complying.
Oh, okay, so that's why.
This is not,
Okay, that's why you're here.
yeah, that's why I'm here.
So this is a new application?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. And is there anyone here to speak to that? I would assume not, or they would have cleared it up right away. Yeah, through me, so. What's the date? 17 August. Have they come and spoken to you directly or?
Nope, that's all I have.
Well. I'd like personally to. Can we momentarily table that and jump into the discussion that you're here for? So I'm gonna move the agenda item and talk about, because there's two ways this can be done. We can do it as a board, or we can assign, an employee to do it, officially call it. Terry said she's willing to do it, but she would like us to do, if there's a new one, to do the first one. And I like the idea of someone who's new to this, coming in, talking to us, get to meet them a little bit. And then after, if there's no issues or complaints, the second one on, we can designate Terry. And I'd like to propose that as a policy. So if we're happy with that, we can jump back to this and make a motion to table it to the next meeting. That's all they come in here and present themselves.
I would make a motion that the second and subsequent applications from the same catering company can be handled by Harry. First ones for each one by the select board.
Would you be amenable to a friendly amendment? Assuming there's no complaints.
Yes,
Or issues or, I don't know what the exact words you want to use, but I'm trying to get Terry not in the middle of it, so if it gets stuck.
Well, and if I can speak, just, sure, Saltwater Fields is usually where we've been, for right now, we have been doing most of our business with them. But we are separate from them, so someone could have us go to their home. So there's not necessarily Saltwater Fields, it's just gonna be, on the rocks bartending service, which my applications have always, that's what we've always done. And then that just happens to be the facility that we've been working at.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, as long as it's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Yeah, it would be our company that you're, and that's, I wouldn't have to, if I went someplace else, to another venue.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to come before the
You
board.
still gotta fill out. the
Yeah,
stuff.
fill out the application.
Right, yeah. Sue, any thoughts on this?
I think that's a good plan, is initially they come to the board, and then if there are no issues, that Terry could do it.
So we got a motion. You happy with your motion? Yes.
Can you say the motion again?
Okay.
I can go back and catch it on the video.
Yeah. And, without any issues or. And, you know, maybe we want to draft up a written policy that we can, Terry can hand out to someone if there's issues or complaints, she can just hand them a piece of paper. You gotta go back to the board.
That's a good idea.
Okay. All right, good. All right, further discussion? All those in favor? Sue?
Sue, I,
Jeff, aye. John, aye. Just, a motion to table that to the next meeting and that's Terry to invite them. That's correct. Unless they've been in, they haven't been in then,
No,
in the previous one.
no, I don't recognize the name at all.
Yeah, I would move to be table this. The next meeting or the meeting on the fifth. The regular meeting, regular meeting, okay. Sue?
I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion, all those in favor, Sue?
Sue, I,
Jeff, aye. John, aye. So you want this back?
Yep.
Sorry about that confusion there. No problem. Okay, I'm gonna jump around a little more here and, I'm gonna take out of order, Dawn Prothero request to use the Stump Dump Road. So you want to just briefly? Yeah, tell us what you're asking.
Yep, so I would like to be able to have access to our property. The extension of the Stump Dump Road crossing our land. That's the back end of our property. I've got a map here. I can show you. For the purpose primarily of getting wood out, logging, and that would be not a logging contractor, but me, myself, and I. One tractor and one chainsaw. So it's not gonna be a big operation. We have the property in the tree growth program. The forester recently did an update and said, you know, you really need to get some of that poplar and fir and et cetera out. So, you know, now that I'm somewhat retired and I don't know if I physically got it in me, but I'm gonna give it a try.
Gonna be a small change though.
Well, yeah, it's a home motorcycle chain, yeah. So that's my plan, and it kind of hinges on being able to use the road, and because the alternative is to try to drag everything to the street, and that's, you know, it's a long way, and I don't have a good landing spot in the street, there's cables, you know, overhead wires and et cetera. So at least for this initial phase, what I'd like to be able to do is yard it up out back and use that road to access the pile of logs that I hope to get. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
So I have two questions. When you say Stump Dump Road, that technically ends at the shack.
Okay,
Are you talking literally Stump Dump Road, or are you talking,
no,
you're talking going down the old woods road? It's not
yeah,
literally.
beyond that, I don't know, it's probably, I'm trying,
So you're talking about using that all the way to your property?
Yes.
Your property line.
right, it's a couple hundred yards, probably something like that.
And then you also, I see you had an agreement prior with the board. I wasn't on the board. then.
Yeah, it was quite a few years back.
Yeah.
I don't care if I did, I got it here.
Yeah, we have talked.
And it was for, I believe it was for a period of 5 years that expired. I never actually used it. But it was, I was given permission at that time. and do basically the same thing, so. But-
So, and then the final question I have was, we have for years had a lease with Jeff Smith, who's be it tonight on another matter,
Okay,
to use that road.
Yep.
To access his. But that was a much more formal agreement. I mean, you know, we required them to have insurance and fees as well as maintenance and there was a fee involved. And yet with yours, and I wasn't a signatory to yours, it seems like it's just sort of it's just sort of permission, right, without anything. You were on the board at the time, Jeff, because and I absolutely don't recall. So I guess in my mind, I'm thinking, why do we treat as a
Right.
town, these
Right.
people so different?
sure,
And maybe there is a reason, maybe yours was just gonna be you, yourself and I, very casual, and you really weren't in business, and Jeff actually is a contractor, or was, or is, contractor business. And so that, to me, is one difference, right there.
right.
So do you, in order to get to your property, do you have to cross anybody else's land?
No, it would just be the town.
Okay. And Jeff, do you?
He crosses mine to get to it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, so those are all questions I have.
Those are the same questions I had. I didn't understand why. Two of them. In my mind, there is a difference between commercial operation. But the action is the same.
Right. Well, I envision, I don't know how much this is gonna be. I envision maybe a truckload a month. I don't, I'm physically not be able to do what I'm saying I don't want to do here. And that's, it's very real. I'm 66 this summer. And anyway, but I understand, where you come from. We try to keep everybody, it's $130 a year, and that's the fee that I would need to pay to join up. Maybe that makes sense.
Actually, I'm more worried about the insurance. Personally. And the other complicating factor here is, it's not too complicating because we run heavy trucks in there all day long, but we're planning to pave, repave the pave section this summer.
Right.
And are you talking about doing it this summer with a
Yeah.
tractor with big doggy tires?
Well, in fact, that would be on my equipment would never leave my property. It would only be the truck to pick up the wood and take it out.
Okay. All right.
And so a tractor is a farm tractor.
Jeff, did you have something you wanted to add? I know you know that really well. So.
Maybe add that it's limited to when the road's not really soft in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
The road is soft.
Yeah. That's in it. The other complicating factor. We're gonna take up a few minutes and offer Jeff to buy his land, potentially buy it. And you said you crossed his land.
No,
Huh?
he crossed
Vice versa, right, okay, not an issue, right, okay. Okay. Can you check with our insurance company and just explain the issue to them? I know you won't be able to do it. And I mean, it may be just a simple matter of getting your insurance company, homeowners insurance or something done. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
well, I understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. The only thing that's gonna give anybody any headaches.
Yeah.
It's a relatively small thing. I honestly don't know if I wind up making any money out of it or not. Yeah, because prices and stuff,
Yeah.
But I want to give it a go, and part of the plan for the tree growth program, and it's something that I personally would like to see get done.
Yeah.
But
Well, and you gotta adhere to your pre-vote plan. You can lose that.
Well, there is that line in the most recent report, because, you know, it's in 10 years, this is addressed that, you know, it's not gonna recommend.
So do you have any thoughts or questions or?
No, I think it probably is a good idea to look at the insurance and make sure that that's all taken care of as far as liability goes or any damage that could be done to the road.
Okay, are we good then?
Yeah.
So why don't we, you're not gonna do it now.
No, it's all, you know, hinges on this, and I gotta line up the sucker.
Yeah, and it's pretty wet.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of, hopefully I'm getting ahead of it here and have a plan when the weather cooperates.
So we meet again on the fifth,
Ninth,
sorry. Did I
Jeff,
say the fifth?
you said that, I don't know,
Whatever.
I think it's the 9th because we meet the 11th on
So we meet the 10th.
the 10th without second.
So we meet again, hopefully, we can follow up on that.
Wonderful.
Okay, that works for you for now?
I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. You may want to hear this next discussion.
Well, you know, I think that's taking.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna jump around. We have an offer from, not an offer, but, Mr. Klein has spoke to us about it, potentially purchasing his lot at the way rear, 10 acres. We kicked that around a little, so why don't we talk about Jeff's offer first? Does that make more sense? And that kind of puts it into perspective. But before I forget, I looked at the maps and Klein owns a little tiny piece in addition to his 10 acres right there. Which is about an acre, right? That's what we have it as. I think we should include that in this discussion. It would seem odd to have this little 1 acre piece out in the middle. You familiar with that?
Yeah, that's my land surrounding.
Right.
It's just a little small lot, the old foundation of it.
Yeah.
100 years ago, not even any wood.
Well, according to the tax map, your land is on, and which I'm notoriously inaccurate. Your land is on 3 sides and no, it's all around you. Yeah, it's all around you.
I think the. might have to do some deep research.
Personally, I would like to, if we do go ahead with the plan, I'd like to wrap that into the deal. Jeff, we have a letter from you. You want to address us first, or want to read the letter, or do you want me? Okay. Dear members of the select board, I know it's too late to add another item to your agenda of April 25th, although it wasn't too late, we got it added. But I believe I'm addressing this concern to the appropriate body. It makes sense to me that the town, wrong letter, sorry. Man, I'm struggling tonight here. Somebody kick me. Have it. I know I do. I have it wrong. Okay, let's start. Sorry about that. It was some comments in Selectboard. I had that. I would like to offer the 118 acres of forest land that I own. That's to the north of us, the 100-acre lot that the town already owns up behind the town office and the fire station. Sole purpose of this offer is to have those 118 acres preserved in forever wild conservation protection with the exception of the construction and maintenance of walking trails. Thus protecting this land for the future benefit of all birds, amphibians, animals, insects, essentially all the woodland and marshland creatures that this land currently provides a safe haven throughout the season for the ever increasing expansion of human encroachment. The town currently has this land assessed at a value of $174,500. I'm willing to accept $50,000 for the entire acreage, or less than 29 cents of the total on the dollar of the current valuation. I would like to see in conjunction, the town purchase a 10-acre lot that abuts the town land to the west that has been offered to the town as an abutter, that's the client property, which could also be placed in conservation, but my offer would not be contingent on that purchase. The details of this agreement can be ironed out before it may be offered to the townspeople to vote at the next town meeting, and any transfer of the property to the town. Respectfully submitted, Jeff Smith. You want to add anything to that?
No, I just maybe in the future, maybe put in a prisoner, you know,
As what?
maybe put in a prisoner, no, I will be prisoner. Then the law has a prisoner, but.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what that would entail, but we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah. I did have one question, and. Yeah, so hunting. Your condition is only walking trails and maintenance. I know a lot of people hunt out there.
Yeah, I would like. No ATVs.
Okay, but hunting would be another exception.
That would be something.
Yeah, I just don't know if we as a town owned it. That could be quite a job to enforce that.
Yeah.
That deed restriction.
There's no enforcement now.
So, and I know a lot of people use that area traditionally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, that just popped up in my head. Question?
No, I strongly support it, and I think it's a very generous. I would like to have in the town warrant some words that describe the restriction that you're asking us to put on, which I think is appropriate.
So, questions, comments?
I agree with what Jeff just said, you know, to have that wording in the town warrant. And it is a good opportunity for us to get some land for conservation and possible hiking trails or.
Okay. So, is there, well, I envision that the article would read, and we can talk about just more when we get to the town meeting warrant article, but I would envision that the article would read that it would authorize the board quietly to negotiate or, you know, so, and that would give us time to work out the details.
Yeah, but I do feel obligated to include words to for use as protected.
Oh, yeah, because that's a condition.
Yes.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to clarify the hunting issue, because I think that's important. Yeah, because I think, you know, this is definitely a condition purchase. Whereas the Klein property is not, it's just been offered for sale. So is there a motion to include this on the town warrant?
You know, I absolutely would include it.
Can I, hold on 1 second. Can I get a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Don?
So, I'm just starting to think about the implications for me as an abutter.
Which is why I said you might want to say.
Yeah. Exactly. So I could be wrong here, and it's been forever since we've owned the place for going on 30 years. I'm pretty sure that Jeff has a legal, what's the word, right of way across my property. I'm not absolutely sure that's true, but I think it.
Yeah, maybe across yours, but I don't believe he does across the town.
Well,
It's just cross boundary.
right, so, you know, question in my mind is, okay, now what's that gonna mean for everybody and his brother who wants to go to the newly owned town property? What route will they use to get to it?
Well, our land abuts their land,
Right, I think that's.
but the Woods Road doesn't.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably an issue for you, Mike. You would have to terminate.
Well,
If you
it
could.
depends on how it's probably in the deed.
Yeah.
It's in the deed.
So we would
I think
transfer.
I think.
Okay, that's an important thing we need to.
I still go to development. They could punch a loader.
Right.
So, legally.
But you could sell it to us.
They just said it was wood.
I don't know. I think that's one of those details we'll have to, but that's a good point.
But again, the intention from the Conservation Commission is that this whole area be walking trail, basically.
Well, I'm not worried about too much about people walking, it's the firearms and four-wheelers. Trucks, pickup trucks.
But I think that wouldn't change from what it is right now.
Well, it would be prohibited on Jeffs.
Except it would be, yeah, well, if it's prohibited and policed on Jeffs, then presumably that would cut down on traffic in my property.
Yeah,
There's no place to go.
the issue is gonna be policing.
Right.
Yeah, currently, the right of way I'm going to used for, my dad bought the lady in 1972, so we never used
There have been your trucks crossing my,
just don't think about it, or just, I see it.
yeah,
And it'd be a problem, but it's not the right of way, because all we have to do. The main road.
I don't understand.
Right away from the paved road, across the lane, all the way up to money. So if I sold it to a developer, they could legally build a road or do it. And that's not a problem. I didn't do that because at the time, my dad made a big move down to upgrade the road that was there. He upgraded the road, the existing road here, in order to get to the property to haul gravel. So we never used the right of way on your property because we used the road here instead.
You mean you never built the new road?
Never
Never
built the
built
road.
the new road, but certainly there has been truck traffic from your operation across that, what we're calling the Woods Road. Right.
Yes, the road would, and it crosses over your property. This is very cool.
Well, I don't think we're gonna settle this tonight. Maybe, maybe Jeff and Dawn and one of us should maybe sit down and try to pull out some of the deeds and try to look at this. Because I understand your concern.
Yeah, I would go on record at this point saying I have concerns about how that would all play out.
My thinking on it is decrease the traffic across your property.
Well, it might, you're right. I can understand why that might be true. Because, they're trying to go across my property to get to his, and they can't do that. For some reason that gets policed, then there's no place for them to go and they have to turn around on my property, I suppose. I don't know.
So,
It's walking trails, only no one was talking to any.
well, in theory,
I mean, nobody can get out there now in theory either. But you go out there.
no, they take 4-wheelers out there.
I know, that's my point.
And so, just so I understand, this Woods Road is an extension of the stump dump.
Right.
It goes out behind the can. Crosses your property, onto your property from the town's property. Then it crosses the property of Bourne.
That borders it, yeah.
Well, according to the map I have, it kind of little bit, and who knows where it is, little bit of Bourne, and then it enters your property. So, and what you're saying is that, Dawn, you have Jeff, you have a right of way across Dawn's property on that piece. But you're saying that that's not it. You're saying it comes out from into the street.
I believe my deed says that it starts at what they call Steel Harbor Road, which is actually near the.
So I would think that there's a way that this property could be transferred and that I don't know. We'll have to think. There's gotta be a way.
This shows that small piece of property that you're talking
Or it's right here.
Would it be formed by the owner?
Yes, it's lot. It was, yeah, Maloney, yes, right.
So that's that one right there. There's a location of the stump dump road extension along with that property.
Right, and it pretty much goes along the border, but according to this map I have, which again is notoriously inaccurate, it comes in here just a little bit.
Now, there's some survey bids.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is fence here and here.
Okay. So this is a detail we gotta sort through tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, I'm open to it.
Attention is. Commission's attention.
I am worried about, I will say the one thing that gives me pause is I'm worried about being able to enforce the conditions of just putting them from, you know, no ATVs. They're out there all the time,
They ruined the road. They do so.
and that's gonna be a top enforcement. So,
Enforcement officer.
yeah. I mean, that's just a practical matter. I mean, when I was, you know, when I was. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes 15, 20 of them come tearing through there.
Well, and there's people taking television sets and dragging them down the road and using them for target practice. And chairs and, you know, snowmobiles.
Yeah.
Leaving the snowmobile out there because it didn't run them down.
Well, snowmobiles are for years now.
Right. There's a lot of that evidence of that traffic in, you know, in the snow, you can see it.
Okay. So, did we vote? I can't remember.
Hey, I have my yellow hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Walter.
I have a couple of questions since the budget committee has to vote on this tomorrow. Is there a sense of urgency about getting both of these deals done now? And if so, without compromising Mr. Smith's negotiating position, why 2023?
I think it was convenient timing. And Jeff seemed kind of ready to pull the trigger, so no pun intended.
I've been, communicating with the conservation committee about this, and they just seemed to think it was a good time to do it.
Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I respect that. I'm a bit, I'm a little conflicted on this because, so if we spend $50-some thousand on land acquisition, what are we not doing? So if we say yes to this, what are we saying no to in terms of investments in this budget cycle and maybe the next one? In other words, is this a nice to have for environmental reasons and altruistic reasons, or is it a must have?
Well, I don't think it's.
As opposed to better roads or,
I don't personally think it's a must have, but I personally feel it's something that it's something that the town, I think, should have an opportunity to make a decision about. Right. That's what-
I agree.
right, I'm just teeing up
Opportunity, and
some,
if we don't put it on the warrant, then the town can't even make that decision.
right, and
The other part is talking about the timing. The other property, there is a time. There is a sword hanging over our head on that.
for the Klein property.
Right, so it makes sense to do both of these at the same time.
Okay, so my editorial comment is what nags at me are two things. That land investments, I mean, I personally think that climate change is the worst thing that we have to deal with as a society or as a country. And that next to that in Mid-Coast Maine, housing availability is number one. And so when land comes up, I wonder, and so if we buy $50,000 worth of conservation land, are we not enabling ourselves to do something in terms of affordable housing and other things. So I'm thinking about the alternatives of $50,000 worth of town funding for something that I haven't heard the sense of urgency yet. That this is out there and we must get it now or never. So that that nags at me, especially since the economic outlook for 2024 is not all that great, since there is the likelihood of a recession. So what is tugging at me is my heart and my head on this. So I personally am not convinced that this is a must-do in 2023, and my budget committee has to vote on that tomorrow. So I'm looking for a more convincing argument to do this than what I've heard so far.
Well, the budget committee can vote, they don't have a recommendation, that's an option.
Well, I know that.
Yeah, or they can vote that they recommend against it. I mean, all the budget committee is really recommending the expenditure.
Right, so I'm just trying to get the various opinions on the do's and the pros and cons of this adventure. And it's not an adventure, it's a $50,000+ expenditure of taxpayer money. And my question is, why does it have to happen now?
Well, I guess my answer is because we got the offer.
And
Right, and what I'm asking is that offer a best and final with a timeline, or did it just surface out of nowhere? Because the first I heard about it was during our budget reviews 3 or 4 weeks ago.
May I make
So
a comment?
this does not have a wide publication. So it's going to show up right now as a $50,000 expenditure on the warrant a month and a half from now, that very few people know about and understand. And and I'm kind of scarred by spending $36,000 to buy the Graysmith property at the town landing 5 years ago, and nothing's been done with that. So, so we buy conservation land, and I hear the altruisms about we're going to do trails and all of this, and is there a plan? No, there isn't, and I understand that. I understand why you get conservation land. I mean, I'm a White Oak Society member of the Land Trust, so I'm very much involved in that. But this sounds to me like a rush to judgment that caught me by surprise 3 weeks ago, and it's going to catch a lot of other people by surprise. So mollify my concern.
Theo, did you have a comment or a question?
I do, and I'm actually very embarrassed that I'm the only member of the Conservation Commission outside of Sally Merchant, who is an associate, who's at this meeting, because this is an issue that the Conservation Commission should be addressing. And I would love to encourage the rest of the commission to evaluate this and give you our opinion, because I think we probably would have some input.
Well, I thought we already got them.
Yeah, I did.
Well, actually, we got a decline from. It was embedded in that was a reference to the Smith property as well. But other comments, we need to.
yeah, and just so you know, I know Jeff wants to say something, but
Sorry.
but I think it's a great opportunity that we need to jump on. But besides that, what we're voting on is not to buy the property. We're voting on putting it on the warrant to let the town decide whether or not we should buy the property. So that's where it gets the legs with the town. And this, putting it on the warrant, starts the process of the informational meetings and and the town making a decision. So this is not a decision for the select board to make. It is a decision, our decision is whether or not we give the town the opportunity to look at it. And so if we don't do this now, if we don't vote on this now, then in my opinion, it's another year. And I don't think we should kick the can another year, especially since I strongly believe that we're getting a great offer.
Yeah, quite frankly, I agree with Jeff. I would feel almost like I'm abrogating my responsibility if I didn't put this offer in front of the town. I feel like this is a town decision, and for us to withhold this offer from the town, we're actually making a decision that I think the town should make. Does it feel rushed? Yes, it does. Just came up before, but again, if the article is worded in such a way that it just authorizes us, the board, to do it, then we can work out some of these details that may be a question, so.
So let me, are you gonna make a recommendation as part of the warrant? That,
I moved to Jeff, he's had his hand up for a few minutes. Hang on.
sorry,
That's okay, good.
And the town does have 100 acres, so if they want to do a low-income housing development on 100 acres they already own, you could kind of and do that and not disturb the whole piece of you only able to do it now.
And our comprehensive plan and now that has now been included in our current land use ordinance. We have property, we have an area of land set aside in the town that is zoned for low income, high density housing that has not been developed yet. So we have places where we can do that.
We actually have a piece of property
And we actually have.
that we tax acquired and didn't sell because the bids were sold. That's in Westbrook Street. So Walter, go ahead again if you have another comment.
so two things. As part of your vote tonight, are you gonna make a recommendation to the town on a warrant article whose wording I haven't heard yet?
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna have
That's my
to draft. We're gonna have to draft the article.
So what's the budget committee gonna
Well, I think
on
we're
tomorrow?
also gonna have to, in my opinion, we haven't got there yet, but if our first motion passes, then we're gonna have to tackle with, the price recommendation. Well, I don't know if that's embedded in your motion. But I think we need to have a separate vote on whether or not we recommend this.
Yes.
Okay,
The first step is whether we are going to put this article on the warrant. And that's what my motion was for. That we put this motion on the warrant. We have another item on the agenda to review the warrant article. And at that point, we'll vote that line item and our recommendation.
okay, I just, as I said, I'm very conflicted over the my heart thinking and my head thinking that it's not clear to me that at this point that people will make a well-informed decision on the $50,000 expenditure between now and June. And that bothers me.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. Can you restate the motion? Because I want to make sure.
Motion to include this purchase on the town warrant.
Okay, so I'm assuming that you're accepting the price that I guess offered in that motion. Okay. Okay. So further discussion on just putting it on the warrant conceptually, the offer, the article to accept it. Further discussion, all in favor, Sue,
Sue, I.
Jeff,
Aye.
John, I. Okay, now, do we want to make a recommendation? So we can either recommend against it for it or have no recommend?
And actually, I mean, the recommendation could be, we recommend approval of this warrant article. Or it could be,
We don't recommend.
we don't recommend, it could also be, we recommend approval of $50,000 for. So that we could recommend approval without recommending the number. Or we can recommend approval with the number.
Well, if the number's in the article, then, and we're recommending the article. That's why I asked you, does your motion include the
Well,
number?
mine does, I'm just saying that, because I envision the select board is going to recommend or not recommend. The budget committee is going to recommend or not recommend. And I would hope that the conservation commission will recommend or not. And I'm saying that recommendation from any one of those three could be, we recommend purchase of the property without recommending the number.
Don't you need to have an amount?
We do have to have an amount in the article, but in the verbiage that says select board recommends, we can say select board recommends purchase at $50,000, or select board recommends purchase and not put in the amount.
Well,
And then where does the amount come from?
It's in the article.
or it cannot be, it can just say to see what's up, and then we can recommend a dollar. There's several ways we can attack this.
Right.
I think personally, the cleanest way is if your motion was intended to accept the offer of $50,000, which you said it was.
Yeah.
Then I think the cleanest way is we put that number in the article and we make a recommendation on that article, which includes that number.
Well, I'm making a distinction here because the other piece of property, I'm in favor of purchasing the property. I am not in favor of.
I am not either, but you're getting ahead of me.
I know, but so I want to clear it up here. Because in this one, I want to say, select board recommends purchase at $50,000.
Is that a motion?
Well, I want to wait. We need to verb it the whole.
We voted, didn't we? Did we
We
already
did.
Voted to put it on the article at $50,000.
Yep.
Okay, now we're talking about the action.
Well, okay, no, we're talking about whether we're recommending it.
My motion is that we recommend $50,000 for purchase.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Further discussion? And then when we get to the warrant, we got to draft it.
Right.
It's actually 3 parcels, not 1 parcel.
Yeah.
Just to complicate. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Do I,
Yeah.
do I?
Go on, aye. Thank you, John. Sorry, I got.
That would both have those small pieces.
Well, we're going to climb next.
Okay.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the agenda item dealing with the Klein offer, which is not conditional.
Right. Which makes it easy.
Although that certainly would be the Conservation Commission's intent if we did purchase it, but the offer is not conditioned like Jeff's was. Then it'd be for a while or put in conservation or whatever. So where do we start here? They offered to sell us the 10 acres for how much?
12,500.
12,000?
Oh, that's what we were offering.
25.
25,000. We have it assessed at 12,500. And Terry, I can't remember, but we didn't take any action or any votes in the last meeting.
Right.
So let's do this the same way again, I think. Do we want to? Well, maybe we should just. Do we want to vote on it in concept and then talk about what, yeah, let's just do the same thing.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we include on the warrant an article to ask the town to authorize us to purchase. At what price? 12,500, but that's not what I'm recommending we.
Okay, okay, but that's in the article.
That's in the article.
All right, would you accept a friendly amendment that would have to include that 1 acre, other
Yes.
1 acre lot?
And it may already.
I don't need. Cause the might, and the maybe there's a reason why it couldn't, but assuming that it can. We'll do that. Sue, is your hand up or do you?
No,
Okay, so Jeff made a motion. Is there a second, Sue?
I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor? Sue,
Sue, I.
Jeff,
Jeff,
John, and I. Jeff, do you have a motion on a recommendation from the select board on the side?
I move the select board recommend purchase.
Your period. So you don't. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
That's the discussion. So you don't have a recommended number.
I do not have. No. And in this case, I don't want to influence the town, their prerogative. Okay. On the previous one, I want to influence the town. I want to tell the town, this is a good deal, get it. On this one, I don't want to.
Okay. I can go along with that. I do have two concerns with that. Seems to me, well, a couple of them. I know that the 118 versus 10 acres is a big difference, but when you're dealing with large parcels of land, the first acre is the expensive acre. And then the per acre cost goes down to that. That's one thing. The other thing is, I find it really hard to offer less when we haven't assessed that.
We just did it.
No, you are behind it. But that's just me personally, so, but that's not gonna hold me up, so, so further discussion. Walter, do you have your hand up?
I do. I just, point of process. Will either article specify whichever one has an amount in it? If they both, neither, if one of them does, will it specify the source of the funding either from appropriation or from surplus?
Yes, surplus.
So,
We haven't actually technically voted on that yet, but that's, I think, our intent.
That's our intent.
okay.
We're gonna have, we have another agenda item to deal with the town warrant, which.
Okay, that was ahead of this on the agenda, so. I personally want to thank Mr. Smith for stepping up here, and I don't mean to be an obstructionist. I just want to kick the tires on all of this.
Okay. Further discussion on Jeff's motion. Do you have that motion, Terry?
The motion is to recommend the town purchase the property.
Okay. All right. So, further discussion. All those in favor, Sue?
Sue, I.
Jeff, aye. Joe and I. Okay. Let's take a break and move to something else and come back with more. We go to Kevin. Yeah, let's go to Kevin. Well, I think we can go back and quickly. That's the warrant. Okay. Well, let's go to Kevin.
Is he there or where's this phone?
Now we have a really complicated issue to deal with.
Yeah.
So, oh, he's got it. He's figured out how to
Make the transition.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Thank you. shouldn't feel obligated to stay all evening and do. Unless you're.
I love meetings.
Yeah, I know that. So what?
I sent it.
Let's deal with, come on. Let's deal with the donation. Okay, we have a donation for $15 from Leslie Spear to the Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Sue, I.
Jeff, aye. John, aye. We have a donation from $200 to the library, Rock City Co-op. So, Sue, second,
Seconded.
discussion, all those in favor?
Sue, I.
Excuse me, Sue?
Sue,
Jeff,
I.
Jeff,
Yes.
aye. John, aye. I'm voting for you now. Okay, still don't have them?
No, he's a,
Oh, okay. Kevin,
John,
how are you?
I'm
Alright.
doing well. How are you?
You want to update us where we are with this mess?
I will update you. Unfortunately, I don't have an awful lot of news for you. I talked with I've been trying every day to contact Vision. I have talked with 3 different people there. The first one was a representative from the company. She really didn't have much information for me. She turned me over to her supervisor, Alex, and Alex informed me that the process that we're looking to do is possible, but it was going to require a lot more effort than it really, I thought that it should have. But he mentioned that it was going to be something that they have to do, and that it would require them to go into every account and do some sort of a manipulation of a land module and a building module within each of the accounts. So he said that the process would be time consuming, and that it was not going to be something that would be an additional charge for the town, not something that would be part of your contract. At the end of our conversation, he mentioned that he would get back to either the town or myself with a quote for when they could get started on it, how long it would take to do, and cost involved. And I haven't heard anything since. I've reached out multiple times each day, tried to call him. He finally got back to me. He turned me over to a guy named Mike Terrell, also works for Vision. And I haven't been able to get in contact with him. What I'm learning is, well, I guess I'm not learning it. I already knew it. Vision is just not an easy company to work with. Unfortunately, that's what I've determined here. So we're still waiting on them to tell us how much and when they can do this. Unfortunately, there's a timeline involved. We have to have, if we're going to do this factoring, the deadline is June 1st for us to have the information done and be able to supply it to the state. So that's what I know.
Okay, so according to your memo or email, you felt that there was a potential workaround here that we could add the factor in Trio when after it was imported over from Vision. But the downside to that is that the total value in Vision wouldn't have the factor amount, the Trio
Correct.
would, so they'd be out of sync.
That's correct.
And even if we put brilliant fluorescent orange sign on the Vision website, people are still not gonna notice it, and they're gonna go in and get the wrong values. I mean, that's the risk here. And then also, Harry, do you wanna talk about your conversation with Trio? About doing away with Vision and just doing Trio
We could, but we wouldn't be able to do it in time
this year?
for this year.
And-
And it's very expensive. It would be, for the software license would be $8,288. For them to convert the data would be $7,000. So that would start us off at $15,288, and then every year it would be a little over $2,000 for maintenance, which goes up every year.
But you got a net from that overpaying Vision.
Yes, and I did not get that number. I did not get that number. I know you asked for it.
We're paying Vision quite a bit.
Yes, I can,
Is that like $4,000 or something a year? Or?
I think it's around 5 or 6, but I can
Okay.
look at that.
So why we're thinking about that. So, okay, Kevin, I have one other question.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I know it takes a lot of data entry, but in the Vision system, correct me if I'm wrong, if we do an abatement, we can go in and manually adjust the value on a certain parcel A, we'll say, that we grant the abatement on, right?
Correct.
So why couldn't we do a manual adjustment with the factor? The other way, so to speak. In other words, a negative abatement.
You could do a supplemental. I'm wondering if I'm,
Saying there must be a way to adjust the total value line that's in Vision up, because we certainly can adjust it down with an abatement. And we do supplementals.
right, but you're not effectively changing that number in Vision. You're just changing the amount. With the abatement, you're just changing the tax amount that particular taxpayer owes.
We don't change the value. That's what the abatement's based on.
Right. So with the abatement, you got to assume that there was an error that caused that abatement. So we could go in and correct the data to whatever the error was, which would then effectively change the overall assessed value.
That's doing it one at a time.
But yeah, but I know.
So it's possible to do this in Vision, one at a time, but 1,800.
That's correct. That's what I'm told. That's what I'm told.
Talked briefly to Terry about it. You may have rethought it, but Terry felt we have someone here who could do it. And it was very accurate, very fast.
I don't know if we can get it done by July 1st, but
June 1st.
June 1st, yeah, that's
But
even
I don't
worse.
think
That's
it
not a
has-
month.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the Vision portion of it.
Doesn't have to be
That
done.
can be done by.
And she could do that later. I mean,
We
pick
we
later.
do it in Trio and report it. to
That
the
is
state,
correct, Jeff.
And then flag Vision. This is, the numbers are not correct. Call the town officer for correction.
So another option, Jeff, could be that you, for a period of time, you just remove Vision from your website entirely. And that way there can't be any confusion. If it's not there, it can't be confused. And Terry and I had talked about that.
We're gonna have real estate agents parading in here every 5 minutes again.
I agree. But would you rather give them no information? Or would you rather give them potentially the wrong information?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, this is not the method that we would choose to do here. The right way to do it is to change both systems by the same factor. But I got to be honest with you, at this point, we're looking at, well, it's darn near a month before we have to have all of this done. And the way that Vision is dragging their feet at this point, I can tell you with almost 100% certainty that even if we were to make a deal with them, say the beginning of next week, which probably won't happen, I can't imagine that they would get the process done for us in time to so that it coincides with our trio factor.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That's not gonna happen.
Yep.
I personally come to accept that, but I really would like to avoid having two different values in one in trio and one in Vision.
Yep.
I think that's mass confusion.
Agreed.
I like the idea of just pulling it down for a while. Okay, well, so do you and Terry both agree there is a way we could go in and manually change each parcel in Vision?
I don't agree with that because that's not what I'm told. I'm told that they can go in. That Vision, it's something that what I was told by Alex Hatch, the supervisor, is that this is a process that they would have to do. And that it would require them to go into Vision. I don't know that this is true. This is just what I'm told. That they would have to go into every account, and they're basically, the way he described it to me, they are manipulating the land module and the building module that's tied to each account.
Yeah,
Now, why there's not a way to do that over the entire the whole town accounts, I don't know. That's what it is with Trio, is
that. And that's the base data that generates the final value outcome. I get that. I'm not talking about doing that. I'm talking about just making manual adjustments once that value has been calculated, similar to the way we would make an abatement adjustment.
Or if somebody comes in and is building onto their property and you do an assessment and determine that it has increased the value by 50% and that becomes their new value, you change that, you do that, right? It manually in Trio and in Vision?
yes, but that value is not a value that I choose. So I don't go to the property and say, okay, well, this addition is probably worth about $50,000 because, that's the amount that they told the code enforcement officer it was going to cost them. It's computed within Vision. So I don't have a number in mind at all. I simply go into the Vision program and say, okay, they added a one-story addition, which is 12 by 16. And the computer system, that's what it's for. It's to keep things fair in town. It's not me applying a valuation for that addition. I supply the information, a 12 by 16 addition. I supply that to Vision. It kicks out the valuation. So I don't know how.
Then you port that value somehow to Trio? So,
Correct.
You gotta enter it. They don't talk to each other.
Well, I mean, he physically does, but.
Yes.
Okay, so Trio does not do the calculation for you.
No, Trio is basically, the way to look at Trio is it's basically just an override. That's all it is. Vision calculates the value. We supply it the information. Square footage, grade, condition. It spits out the value based on the information I give it. And then that additional value, whatever it may be, is added to last year's valuation for that particular account in Trio. Yeah.
Well, I
I
think. a lot-
don't think that what you're talking about doing is, I don't think that there's no way that I can see to do that and do it accurately.
The only solution we have in the short term. The long-term solution probably is just moving over to Trio. And you're comfortable with that, and you do that in a lot of towns anyways. Probably, but setting that aside, so in the short term, it seems the only solution we have is we apply the factor in Trio and either have bad information or not bad, but inconsistent information on vision, or we take vision down.
Correct. That's the only solution that I see at this point. And if you chose to keep it up on your website, like I mentioned to Terry, the only thing you can do is put a bright, brilliant flag up there that just tells whoever it is that's referring to this information, whether it's a real estate agent, whoever, that this information is not accurate. It needs a whatever the factor may be, 15% increase applied to it. It's simple enough to do. It's simple math that anybody, I mean, the system, in my opinion, could still be utilized, but you got to pay attention. It's going to have to be flagged.
Or taken down.
Or taken down.
Yeah. So have you come up with a factor?
So I have worked one up that looks like it will work. And so the factor is looks like it's going to be 15% increase. And if we apply a 15% factor uniformly throughout town, that should put, according to the sales that we've gotten from the state, that should put our a certified ratio at 91%, and the state allows us 10% fluctuation, so we would still be able to certify 100%. Because we could add that other 9%, which is 10, or that other 9, which is 10%. And so you would be at 100% again for this coming year if we applied a 15% factor across the entire town in both land and buildings.
So I just want to say the benefit everybody who's watching and will watch on YouTube, this is not increasing the taxes by 15%. It's increasing everybody's value by 15%, which means
Correct.
Nothing else changed. Everybody's taxes would stay the same. And actually, it also then allows us for the homeowners, particularly those with a homestead exemption, to get a full reimbursement. So it's actually trying to benefit the homeowner.
That is certainly the one that's most heavily looked at by the taxpayers is their homestead, but there's a lot that's involved with this certified ratio. It has effects on reimbursements from the state. It has effects on veterans exemptions, blind exemptions. So if you're certifying whatever it was, 87%, which is our max this year if we do nothing, then it would have a pretty heavy effect on anybody in town who's receiving those exemptions.
Okay. Well, why don't we take this up again on the 5th? I'm not 100% convinced there isn't a way. I know someone was playing with it a little bit.
Bill was.
That we're just not aware of yet. But we can, take this up on the 9th. Sorry, and that should give you plenty of time, right? Kevin,
What's that? I'm sorry.
you approve the factor on the 9th, that gives you plenty of time?
It will, yes. Yep, yep.
Is there a reason we need to wait till? I mean, if that's the factor, he can go ahead and do that Trio.
Well, Trio is done after you update.
Well,
Well, I don't know.
in this case.
Is there any benefit for us approving the factor tonight for you?
Is there any benefit? No,
For you?
nope. Nope. You can certainly hold till the next meeting if you choose. What I have to do in Trio will not take me that long. I don't believe. Unless we run into issues there. I don't think it will though. I think that is fairly straightforward. So,
Well, I guess my question is, what do we gain by putting it off a couple of weeks? 15 is the number, right?
15 is the number that will allow you to certify 100%.
I guess I personally would just like to think about it a little bit.
Yep.
You know, a little bit more, because sometimes I go home and say, why didn't I ask him?
Mhm.
So, unless you're,
Well, I just soon get it done.
all right. Okay,
So I make a motion that we approve the 15% increase and authorize Kevin to do anything he can in Trio to make it work.
okay. So. You're muted.
Whoops, Sue's muted.
I'll second that.
Further discussion, Walter, is your hand up?
It is.
Okay.
I'm the master of the yellow palm. So when you approve this, does that stave off the trigger for a total reval for some period of time? And if so, how long?
You want to take a stab at that? Kevin?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So Walter, we don't ever know what the effects are of the market. The market has so much play on ultimately on your certified ratio and the difference between that and your assessed values. This will, without a doubt, get us through for another year. What it does for the coming year is totally going to be dependent on what the market does.
Okay.
It's possible that it could hold us strong for a couple of years. We could maybe certify 100% again next year, or maybe very close to it. So you're only, losing a couple percent and certifying at 98 or something like that. But it's just so dependent on the market.
Right. But we've been degrading a little bit at a time over a period of years to get to this point, right? So
exactly.
all right. So
yep.
I'm personally more worried about our quality rating. To me,
yes, explain that.
As I've said many times, as long as everybody is treated equally unfairly, I'm happy. I think that's more important. I think it's more important that the quality, the equity be there in terms of different types of property. So one person is not at 50% of one type of property, but 50% of another's at 110.
I agree.
Okay.
That's really where those sort of improvements, take place is during a reval. That's where each neighborhood is looked at compared to all the other neighborhoods in town, and selling prices are looked at specifically for that neighborhood. and compared to other neighborhoods to see, you know, where the increased sales are taking place. What we're doing now, this factoring is just a blanket effect over the entire town. Everybody is going to be affected equally. So,
But don't tell them that John says, that they've all been treated equally unfairly. Change that terminology.
All right, is there, are we ready to vote? Sue?
Sue, I.
Aye. John, aye, reluctantly. Kevin, are you down with us for tonight?
I'm all set if you are.
Okay.
Kevin, can you do me a favor? If you've got the numbers for, where we are right now as far as town valuation and where this could put us, what those numbers turn out to be, could you send that to us?
We won't have those numbers for quite some time, actually, because we still have all of the new what we call spring work. All of the new pickup work will be coming in. All of the personal property I'm sure is rolling in right now, isn't it, Terry?
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
a pile on your desk.
I bet I do. And then, you know, I still have deeds that need to be processed and splits. And when you split a property, obviously you're creating more value there. There's still a lot of data that's got to be put in there. Those numbers that you're looking for really with any certainty won't be available until right at commitment.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I know it's not what you want to hear, but there's, you know, you can take guesses at it, and that's what a lot of towns do, but there's still an awful lot of data that's got to be put in there that will have a heavy effect on the valuation.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Are we all set?
I think so. You
Okay.
are.
Thank you, Kevin.
Have a good night, all.
Bye, Kevin.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Adjustments to the agenda. I'm gonna take up this letter from Lee Cocker, 285 St. George Road. He basically is asking speed limit to be reduced from the new Children's Museum to Maritime Farms. And he talks about the new saltwater fields venue and the increased traffic at Riverside. I did email him back and explain to him that the town can't set speed limits, even on town roads, we can't, that's reserved to DOT. But I would, we certainly could request for DOT to study that and make a recommendation. I would support that, but I actually would stretch it out for Westbrook Street, which is where I see a lot of the collisions. But it's gonna take a year, 6 months, and they're gonna come back and say, well, that's what people are driving, but it's still worth it. So I don't know how you feel about asking for the study, but I would support it. So I don't know if you're probably not aware of this process, but if we ask the DOT to study a speed limit, either up or down, they'll send someone out and study it and put the gun on cars and, well, not for ticket purposes, but for,
Yeah,
and a year later, they'll come back and say it's appropriate.
you know, she probably does have a good point. There's, you know, a very small section there with a lot of traffic coming in and out.
I don't know how many times I've been sitting there taking a left on Westbrook Street, and I look in my mirror and I see someone coming. A couple of times I've just taken off straight. So, is there a motion to request DOT to undertake a study in that area? And so, from really the town line to past Westbrook. Okay. All right, Sue, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? So,
Do I?
yeah, John, aye. Okay. That's, oh, we have this, under adjustments to the letter from Ray Martin for email asking for a food sovereignty of the town, consider the food sovereignty ordinance. And my understanding from Terry is he's interested in getting it on this town meeting, is that correct? Do you? Okay, I didn't know you were ready, so. I know that, I was making this up before, sorry about that. So do you just briefly want to explain what you're asking for?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep, my wife and I just recently started a small business, in this kitchen garden, like, we're right up the road.
Yep.
The farm stand. And so we are, we've encountered this by means of that. We have friends that are able to sell a wider variety of foods because they're live in towns that have a food, local food sovereignty, which is, under the Maine Food Sovereignty Act. So we thought maybe it'd be a good thing for the town to consider. What it basically means is that people selling food products directly to the end consumer on their property or whatever are able to do it, be exempt from state and federal regulations.
Okay. I'll let you guys chime in after, but I have two comments. One is, I think this is a fairly substantial thing. I'm reluctant to take it up as an adjustment to the agenda. I think it should have been on. If we're gonna take it up, it should be on the agenda. Having said that, I think we could take it up on the 5th and still get a 9th, get it in our warrant if we do the draft warrant like we did last year. I'd like a little more time also to research it. I mean, I saw the draft ordinance the model ordinance that MMA prepared and the one from Rockport, they were very similar, but they referenced certain aspects of the law that I haven't even had a chance to look at. I don't know if anybody else did. But you did? I mean, basically, as I understand it, it exempts certain businesses with certain, again, if you're selling directly to the end consumer from certain, quite frankly, safety regulations, food safety regulations.
Only the state of Maine.
Right. I didn't think it was exempt from that. And it doesn't apply to meat, poultry, and shellfish. Yeah, I think it may. Yeah, I don't think so.
Because they're covered under it.
Yeah. But the point is, I just feel, we just got this Monday, right, or whatever it was, and I just feel.
And just to add to it, I read Rockport's. You read what the state law says, here's what we are gonna license and regulate. But if the town is doing it, then we won't. And what this ordinance proposal from MMA and Rockport says is nobody's covered. And that's not the intent of what's in the state. State says, if the town is doing it, we won't. And what both of these say is, we're not. Nobody is.
Yeah, I just have a lot of questions. Again, I'd just like some more time, so I'd like to not take it up as an adjustment, although we sort of already have. And take it up on mine when we've got some time to look at it. That's okay.
Yeah, and my recommendation is take a good look at what the law says, because it only applies to things that are in 7 MRS. It doesn't apply to anything that's in 30 or 22 or And in fact, in both of these, it specifically exempts one of them from this exemption. It exempts the exemption for food, meat products and poultry products, which would be eggs. So that doesn't fall under this. But it doesn't mention shellfish, but that's under a different title. That's Title 12. And it's very clear in the guidance in the state regulation that it only applies to things that are in fact. If I were to support this, I'd need more information, and I would need to add those exceptions to them, because I guarantee you we don't want.
Yeah, I just feel we need some more time to really look at this. You obviously have a little more time than I do. So we'll put it on the agenda, Terry, on the 9th. And again, I apologize. I usually try to help take people out of order, and I didn't realize that you were here for that, so. Okay, so town warrant, is that everything? We done everything else?
Skateboard park,
Oh, yeah.
Solar grants.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm tired. I can, and Penny's here too, I can give a little update on the solar grant. I went to the resiliency group's meeting last Sunday, and talked to them about the concerns that I personally had on the roof. And they, understood that and are changing it for a ground mounted, system, and which I was thankful for. I think personally, a good site would have been this area over here to the left of this field, but that's tied up in our encumbrance for the tennis courts and the recreational area. And there is a way to get out of that. We could trade land on the backside for this land, if we want to put it here. But it's a long process and you gotta get appraisals and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I agreed also to help them work on their RFP that they wanted to get out, which I did, and it was posted yesterday. And there's a pre-bid conference scheduled for any contractor who's interested in submitting a proposal on the 5th at 10 o'clock here. They're hoping that at least 3 or 4 people show up and can kick around some specific location ideas. So, and why that's happening, my understanding is and maybe you can help me here a little, there's another group that's kind of working on the grant application itself. And they do realize they need to come to the board. At least they expressed that last Sunday for approval before it's actually submitted. So can I ask you to chime in if I missed anything?
No. They're all part of the newly appointed.
Right, which is now an official town committee.
Ad hoc committee, and Ray has also just been appointed.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, so they are working on both.
So that's kind of where that's at. Question? Good. Good. Let me see, what else? We got,
skateboard park.
Skateboard park. If you remember back several months ago, the concerned about the state of repair of the skateboard park, some of the big pieces of equipment. And there was a sort of an agreement struck, if you will, between the Paquettes and the town and other folks who were involved, that we were going to remove 2 of those big pieces, just demo them, and then try to find some pieces that you could buy off the shelf. Perhaps that would be more focused for the younger group. Well, one of the pieces got demoed and was removed. which didn't go real smoothly, but it's out of there. But the other one never got demoed, and it's really, really got bad. It's very dangerous. And we, in my opinion, we either gotta fix it or get rid of it, and I think we should personally stick with the plan and get rid of it, and John Paquette had volunteered to remove them both. He and a couple other volunteers, or one other, did one of them, but the other one never got removed. And actually, when they did it, they kind of haphazardly threw everything in the dumpster, and Artie and I, Penny's husband Artie, had to go down there and straighten the dumpster out because it was piled way up above with the big letters said, do not load above this line. And that took us 2 or 3 hours. So, you know, I don't think we have to make the decision tonight, but I would ask you to each go down and vote Sue, and well, maybe you can't. But,
Take your scooter for a ride,
Yeah.
Sue.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna close it. Some of the skins are missing, the plywood's rotten, there's screws, I mean, it's just really dangerous. And I think we should just hire someone like Jimmy Callick to come in there with an excavator and just haul it out, bust it up and take it up here, but take a look at it and we'll talk about it on the 5th. I mean, that was a plan anyway, to get rid of them.
I would like to. I'd like the recreation committee. Well,
I'd like to have someone just take this project.
that happened because
I
we
know.
don't have a recreation committee.
Well, see, I don't think we need another committee. I think we just need some idea.
Well, but we had the interest in one last year, we didn't, so nothing has been done.
Yeah.
And, but barring, you know, that, I would like to at least have someone look at it with some building experience. When the first part was torn down, it was discovered that, well, under was found. It was only the surfaces that were bad. And so before it ripped down, I would like to have them look at that.
I just don't know who to get.
Well, I'm thinking maybe John and Ray will look at it for me.
Who? Oh,
Because no,
and they have expertise in skateboard.
no, but they build houses.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree that it's probably fixable, but we can't leave it in the state it's in. We've either gotta get rid of it or fix it. And we can't.
Agreed.
We can't even get anyone to work on the Little Red siding on the Little Red Schoolhouse. It's just, I'll take a look at it. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think that at the minimum, I would go. Roofs just don't like it. Yeah, that would be great. Can you do that before the 5th?
No,
The 9th? Okay, that would be great, because if it is savable without spending, you know, $1 million, that would be super, but. And the other two aren't great shape.
No, but they are well used.
They are. But when I've been watching, it seems so they use more bicycles on it than,
Well, yeah, the
Skateboard.
roller skates and scooters,
Yeah.
it's more than just the skateboarding.
well, yeah. And you know, and then the dirt, I got Jimmy Tallick to donate that dirt, and that hasn't been pushed around, and I know the guy has health problems.
Yes, and the next 2 weeks to do the garden and the dirt.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay. So, we good there? All right, warrant. Before we get into the 2 land parcels, is there anything else you need on the?
I think that's the last of
Yeah,
it,
the exception might be a food
a food thing. Yeah.
service ordinance if we agree to, but I don't think we're gonna have time to get that into the town report.
We can do the draft like we did last year and then have a
I
permanent one.
think that works. Yeah. So we can, the warrants in the town report will be a draft, that way if we find a mistake in it or something, we don't actually, or we need to add something quickly, we don't actually have to post the town meeting warrant until 7 days before the meeting.
Right.
I mean, that's practically, it's gonna be 10 or something. Okay, so, I took a stab at drafting the 2 articles. Um, and so what do we need to do? Let's deal with the Klein first. Okay, so I can't even remember what we did on the Klein tonight, but it says, this says, to see if the town will authorize the select board to expend up to 12,500. Did we agree to put a number in? We did? Yes. From undesignated fund balance. And then I put in there, and from any grants or donations that may be available, just in case somebody makes a donation. To purchase a parcel of land consisting of 10 acres more or less identified on the town's tax map as 008 lot 002, and more particularly described in the deed, probably should say found at book 222168, and under such terms and conditions which the selectman deems advisable. I'd like to put in there that other parcel. I know we haven't talked to them about that. So it would be to purchase, if it works, 2 parcels. And then we'd have to get the maps and lots and the book and page numbers. Is that agreeable to folks?
Yes,
Anything else we need on this one? So it's gonna say select board. Denise. But. And we did vote on that, right?
Yeah.
And then it's gonna say budget committee recommends, and we're gonna know that until tomorrow night.
I think it should also say conservation.
Well, I have a question about that. We've never, ever, that I know of, included another committee on a town meeting warrant for a recommendation, and do we want to start that practice now with this? I mean, the planning board's had things,
See,
they've never,
I look at the commission. The commission is different from committees. Just to see a commission as kind of an elevated. Put it in an elevated.
can you hear Phil?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm reluctant to open that door.
Well, I mean, they can speak to it on the floor.
Sure, yeah, sure.
I agree that just having them speak on the floor would probably be better.
I mean, I guess I'd like to think of, because now, is there any time there's an article that remotely involves, where do we draw that line?
Okay.
What can you,
Talk me right.
okay, the car is sold, shut up.
So, John, on this article, you're gonna add the other acre,
Yeah.
that little
So we
tiny
need
one?
the map of lot and parcel.
Okay.
And you know, can you check those, in your spare time? Can you check those book and pages? Because I just,
Yeah, because
Oh.
my property is actually 3 different lots.
I know,
But-
we're gonna get to that, yeah.
But Jeff, it's only on 2 different books and pages. I looked it up in the registry.
Okay. So we go with that one?
Yes,
Okay. Then the next one, we need to modify, because I didn't realize it was 3 properties. So it's the same language, 118 acres, more or less, that's what we have as a record too, right, Terry?
Yep.
Yeah, so identified on the town's tax maps, and Terry to change these as map 8 lot 5, map 9 lot 6, map 13 lot 6. And is more particularly described in the deed. Oh, you already got them?
Yep.
And there's only 2. They were both on the same, okay,
2 of them are on one.
got it. At the risk of being fussy, should we put the one that's in there twice?
Sure.
And someone's gonna say, why you only have,
I don't remember which one it is, but I'll go
Okay.
back and look.
and under the restrictions imposed by the current owner that the land shall be, and at that point, I didn't have the conditions. But I guess it's, we can list it from the letter, but it would be forever wild.
Preserved in forever wild conservation.
Yeah. With the exception of the construction and maintenance of walking trails. And then we somehow, you said you did want to continue to allow hunting.
Yeah.
So we somehow need to work that in.
And from the snowmobile.
Well, that makes things a lot easier. Cause I don't want to be traipsing out there in the middle of,
It's a snowmobile.
they don't really do much, any damage. Yeah. Okay, so we can wordsmith that up. And we good to go with that?
Select board recommends $30,000.
Yep. Purchase at $50,000. Yep. And then the budget committee. Okay?
Yep.
Hang on one second. So you're good?
Yes.
I just have a question. Yeah. Applying the third. Decline was offered.
We'll just table it at town meeting. Oh, actually, we won't even put it on the warrant.
So that.
Well, no, we gotta put it on the, because we can't make an offer until town meeting.
Right, that's true.
But I mean, I'm going to go to an informant and say, this is what they're
I
putting
think
on
we
the
should.
order, and he says, no, I said 35, and that's what.
Yeah, I think we should, yeah. Yeah, and then if he says no, absolutely not, we can still leave it on the town meeting warrant and then just table it at the time, because he might change his mind between now and town meeting if nobody else jumps on it. Because I mean, you know, without having access, the only people that are gonna buy it are the bottom.
Well, can you sell the property without the claim?
I think you can sell it to a butter, who have access. Although he claims he did have legal access. Physically.
Well, I don't know that he claimed, she claimed,
Well,
his real estate agent
his representative,
was fuzzy on whether it was a legal right of way or an actual physical trail that they had access to. But it had overgrown and they didn't want to do it.
which I understand. I mean, that might cost him more than $12,500.
Yes, so they were expensive.
And yeah, researching that, and then it could be contested. So, okay, we good?
Good.
Anything else? I have. Get everything on the agenda?
The, got two corrections. Under
Okay, sorry.
Public Works. On page 4. It says from surplus 110. that
Yep.
should be from reserves.
Okay,
Oh, good catch. I didn't catch that.
And then on page 5.
missing a zero too.
Oh, yeah.
Missing a zero too.
Oh, yeah. Then on the next page where you have a 0 for emergency disaster. Take that out.
Okay.
Don't have the others.
Are we, comfortable with the town manager article?
Yeah.
The advisory article?
Yes.
Where is that? Right up front, isn't it?
Number 5.
Yeah, Terry, would you just double check those sites?
Yep.
There's 263.
Yep.
1 through 2639. So we're gonna mark this a draft and so we won't sign it.
Right.
We got the dates right.
I probably will have to address it to someone other than Michelle because she also broke her ankle.
Oh, no.
So she probably won't feel up to going out and posting them.
So you can address it to any resident.
There you go, Penny.
I think the only people who can't do it are you and 3 of us. Okay. We're good to go? I miss anything? No correspondence, we got the warrants for review and approval. Oh, 2 things. I have not heard back from Sue or Jeff regarding the draft selectmen's report. I did send it to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I said, this is not one of my finer efforts, so please send it.
Thought it was good. Pretty impressed.
So,
Good me.
what?
I can't hear you.
I said, I haven't heard back from you on the draft of the selectmen's report that I sent out a while ago. I just want to make. Remember, I said this is not one of my better edits.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Have you had a chance? May 1st is coming fast.
I'll look at it again.
Okay.
Phil made some corrections.
Yeah, Phil made some typo correction stuff, but I'm
Okay.
not. But if you see a typo, mark it, because. And then I got a call from, Gordon Page. He just wanted to confirm 4 o'clock on the 10th here. And I said, as far as I know, we're on. So I told him I'd double check with you guys tonight. So,
Yep.
and then have you heard back from Amy about the 3rd?
No. I have not. I will reconfirm it with her.
Yeah, because before we post it, let's make sure she can still.
Disney, find the moderator.
John Bell.
It's gonna be elected.
Yeah.
Okay, so just running over the meetings, we have a scheduled workshop with the ambulance director on May 3rd at 4 p.m. We have a regular selectmen's meeting on May 9th at 6. We have a meeting, joint meeting, the Alphabet Board of Selectmen on May 10th at 4. We have a regular select board meeting on May 23rd. And at this point, we have not scheduled June. We do have the town meeting on the 20th. We want to schedule June? I think we should.
Anything else we're gonna need informational or?
There's always something comes up.
For the town.
I haven't even got that on my radar yet.
Well, I mean, I thought the reason we decided to do the advisory article last year is because when we do an informational meeting, nobody shows up.
Right.
But, and I don't know if we do the food service ordinance, I don't think that requires a public hearing because it's, it's not a land use ordinance. And I don't know that I want to schedule a public hearing or an information meeting simply for that, because my feeling is nobody will show up.
But you're gonna have a meeting about.
That's
I do
true.
think we should.
That's
And
true.
if you do that, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, then we can do that.
I'm throwing the town town manager Warren in
We
there so
could,
people.
as well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. When you want to do it?
For 7 days.
Well, it's gonna be after the 9th.
There's an election in there somewhere. We have a June election.
Yeah.
17th.
And I have graduation on June 13th.
When's the award ceremony?
That should be the 8th. Oh, yeah, I would have to do that too.
When's the election? 6th or the 13th?
Graduation's the 13th.
When's the June election? Is that, it's a, yeah, it's the
Isn't
13th.
it the first Tuesday following the first Monday or something stupid thing?
I think it's the 13th. Yeah.
Oh, because we don't have a warrant yet from our shooter,
No,
I mean, the council.
right.
They want those in 2 days. and they send them.
Yep.
Well, I think so, because we're gonna try to finalize some things on the 9th, the food sovereignty. We just agreed.
Oh, you mean the 9th of May?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't make that. Boy, I got a lot going on here. How about the 30th is kind of close to Memorial Day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Meeting on the 23rd.
Yeah. Does the 30th work? Work for you, Sue?
Yeah, it works for me.
Work in this building? Fire department's Monday, right?
Right.
They're not gonna move it to Tuesday because it's Memorial Day, are they?
No, usually they just don't have it.
This is for information.
That, we're kicking it around, yeah. Would you be available on the 30th? We never asked you. We just always assumed you are.
I'll be here.
I can do the 30th. Is that gonna dampen attendance on a Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend? We're gonna get 3 people instead of 4.
Well, I think if you were having it before Memorial Day, people would be going away, but generally people are back by.
On the 30th. 6 p.m. here. So we'll include the parcels out back. The food service, sovereignty, if we decide to include it on the warrant, and the town manager advisory article. Anything else? I suppose we can talk about anything. but- Okay. So. Anything else? Forever hold your. So without objection, we're adjourned.
Good night.
Good night.
Right, so.
I think I felt like I went to bed an hour ago.
So you're not up for soup tomorrow?